So the first thing you want to do for the armhole bias is cut a piece of 1.5 inch bias width and make it 17 inches long. And we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. This will fit this armhole from the princess that we did. Now this side shows the first step. The first step is we'll double it and attach it to the armhole. Measure your armhole. If your armhole isn't quite exactly the same as mine, you can shorten this up a little bit. And then you're going to take the bias, fold it in half. And we're going to attach it with a 1/4 inch seam. So the double side is going to sew to the right side here. Okay, so you can start at the underseam so that the seam of the bias is matching at the underseam. Press seam allowance toward the back and stitch a 1/4. Now, sometimes my operator will do this on a overlock seam with wider bias, and then you can actually use it because it would be clean finished here. You can actually go and top stitch right here, and then you have a finished bias with an extension. So that's just another way to do it. There's probably 20 different ways, you know, that old song, 50 ways to leave your lover. Well, there's probably 20 ways to sew your bias. Maybe 50.
Seeing it's easier to leave someone than to sew a bias tape.
Yeah, maybe, but no. Depends on the relationship, I suppose. That's funny.
Why are you learning
The school of life. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. I don't know. I don't get quite as emotional over bias, though.
I think the difficult part is cutting. I think the difficult part is cutting.
Yeah, that's why you send it out.
I wouldn't say it's hard. It's just annoying.
It is precise. You want to get exact, true bias. Okay, so then after you've done that, you're going to understitch it so that the seam allowance is touching the bias. So you're actually going to sew 3 times to get this finish. So you don't want to stitch it to the garment because then it's going to be the raw edge. So you're going to understitch it within the bias. But you have to have at least 1.5 inches to do this because, you know, you are stitching underneath here, catching it. So. Who who decided to make those ringtones? You know, that was your job, designing ringtones. But basically what this is like a little miniature facing, because you're understitching like what you would on a facing.
Oh yeah. But
the nice thing is, you know, when you have a facing, a lot of times they stick out. This one won't stick out. We use this a lot on our sundress armholes, sleeveless armholes. This finish. Okay, and then the last step is to go ahead and top stitch it.
You know, I liked it a lot better. We used to do the facing, and I hated the way because it would just
stick out.
You would tack it down, it just didn't lay right.
So then now you have about, you can feel it, it's about 3/8 of an inch. Maybe 1/4 to be safe. But you want to catch the edge. And the key thing when you're working with anytime with the bias is just keeping it flat. Try not to let it twist. And sometimes I get these back from production and you can tell when they've had new hires. And that's what you do. So 3 times around, first to apply it, then to understitch it, and then to top stitch it. And your arm is done. Armhole is done. Okay. And then you press that out, and you should be good. All right. So same thing. I'll finish on this side the same way, and I'm going to leave this in this position though, so you can see the first step. If anybody wants to look at this. And that's it. Thank you.